Hi, Carl Winkler here at Lectrosonics, and in this video I'll be showing you the DCR822 2-channel portable digital receiver. This is the true successor to the venerable UCR411A and even fits in the same mounts, but with double the channels and a host of powerful new features. Like the 411A, the 822 is designed to withstand punishing RF environments and still come out on top. One way we've done this is with the new vector diversity, which has 2 front ends per channel and a unique phase matching system. Another key feature is the robust high current front ends and aggressive filtering. Let's put it this way, everything we've learned from many generations of portable receivers and 4 generations of digital wireless systems is in there. The DCR822 can be powered off of AA batteries or external power and includes a microSD card slot for firmware updates and to record audio on up to 4 tracks. The receiver is backwards compatible with our digital hybrid wireless transmitters and is of course a perfect match for the D² series all-digital units. The 822 is also compatible with our DCHT and M2T digital dual-channel transmitters. In other words, this thing is packed with features. Alright, let's take a look at the outside. On the front panel, there are 2 SMA antenna jacks on either side. Under the left antenna jack is the microSD card port with a rubber dust cover. Under the right antenna jack is the IR port for syncing your transmitters quickly. The bright OLED display is very detailed and can even be seen outside in the sunshine. And the 4 sealed tactile buttons are configured just like most of our recent receivers. Menu select, power back, and the up and down arrows to navigate the menus. On the back panel, we see the 2 locking TA3 output connectors. Each can put out a balanced analog signal or an AES digital pair. There's a USB jack under the rubber dust cover and the locking DC power jack. Okay, let's take a quick look at the display and the menus in the DCR822. You'll want to think of the display as showing one receiver channel on the left and the other one on the right. At the top left of each is the operating frequency, and if you press the power back button, this toggles to show the channel name instead. Under that is the diversity state indicator, not just showing up or down for each antenna, but one of 4 phase angle combination possibilities used by the vector diversity system. More on that later. To the right of the diversity symbol is either a link indicator or a pilot indicator depending on the compatibility mode chosen for that channel. The indicator will flash until there is a good link, when it then becomes solid. Under that is the dual RF display for each channel, showing about 6 seconds of history for each front end, with dual diversity. There are 4 front ends in the receiver. To the right of each of the RF meters are battery indicators for the transmitters. The bottom of the display is taken up mostly by the audio output modulation meters. Then at the far bottom right is the battery or external power indicator for the receiver. The battery level will be shown unless the unit is running off DC power, then the little plug icon is there. In the main menu, we see the different functional areas, starting with the RF setup. Like other related receivers, we can use Smart Tune to automatically select frequencies, one receiver at a time. Depending on the compatibility mode selected, we're able to choose the bandwidth for the auto selection. We can use the IR sync function to send the new frequency, then back out to the home screen to verify that the channel is working. Next in the menu is the manual frequency selector. If a channel is in digital hybrid compatibility mode, we see the frequency block and the hex code, then the frequency in megahertz and kilohertz. Also, if you have programmed a tuning group, you can select it there. If a channel is set to a digital mode, the block and hex codes aren't shown, only the frequency and group. The scan function should be familiar to you if you've used a UCR411A or an SRC. Then next is Group Edit. Here we can program up to 4 frequency groups, each with up to 32 frequencies. Adding or deleting group frequencies is easy. These groups can be stored on the microSD card and transferred to additional units. The diversity menu shows you the 2 choices you have in the DCR822. The one most likely to be used 90+% of the time is vector diversity. This method is superior to standard true diversity systems used in analog receivers and delivers clean, artifact-free performance. This process can take two signals damaged by multipath interference and reassemble them into a usable signal. Then, the second choice is frequency diversity, which uses two different frequencies from two different transmitters so that either one can be in trouble and yet the resulting audio is still rock solid. This is overkill for most situations, but can be a lifesaver when we really need long range in a challenging environment and still have perfect audio. This diversity choice does have a calibration step for matching audio levels between channels. The last choice in the RF setup menu is pilot tone bypass, something useful for troubleshooting when using digital hybrid transmitters. Let's look at the audio setup menu now. First up is audio level, where we can set the audio output to match the associated downstream equipment, from +7 dBu all the way down to -50. Like many of our other compact receivers, this page gives us the ability to play a tone out of the receiver for level calibration purposes. Compat mode gives us choices between the different digital hybrid modes and the different digital modes, including D², duet and unencrypted, and DCHX encrypted. Output type lets us choose between analog and AES-3 digital, and then routing gives us the choice about how we can send those audio channels through to the output connectors. Keep in mind that the routing is limited to the combination of your source and what kind of connection you have. There are only two analog outputs available, but in AES output mode, you can have up to 4 channels available, so you can send 2 stereo signals, like from 2 DCHTs, and resolve 2 full sets of stereo audio out of the receiver. Smart NR is just like it has been on previous receivers. This is a dynamic noise reduction system that can be helpful when there is hiss present in the audio. Smart NR is, by default, off for D2 mode and set to normal for digital hybrid modes. Talkback lets us route the audio to a different output connector and gives us choices for that operation, either talkback only, override, mix, or off. This function is available on hybrid and digital transmitters with a programmable switch. Finally, audio polarity lets us change the output polarity by channel in case we need to compensate for different lab make, models, or wirings. The SD card menu is very similar to what's in the SPDR, so I won't go into too much detail here. But one function that isn't in the small recorders is the ability to save and load frequency tuning groups to and from the microSD card. This way, you can transfer group and lists between receivers or to transmitters like the DPR that have a microSD card slot. Just be aware that you can record however many audio channels you are picking up. For instance, if you have 2 mono transmitters, like an SSM and a DPR, then you would record on only 2 tracks. If you're picking up 2 DCHT stereo transmitters, then you can record on all 4 discrete tracks. Next in the main menu is IR and keys. Here we can use infrared sync function to send frequency, send all settings, get a frequency from a transmitter, or get all settings. This can be useful if we want to clone a bunch of settings into several transmitters, then pick frequencies, and then send just the frequencies. Like our other encrypted digital units, we have several choices for key management policies. If you're in any key management mode other than universal, you'll see the make key and share key selections. And then if you've made a key, you can also wipe the key or send the key to another device. For a fuller explanation of the different types of key management policies, check out my video on the D² encryption choice and setup. The settings menu offers the lock-unlock function, allowing you to prevent changes to the unit from the front panel. And the display backlight timeout can be chosen. Since the DCR822 has 2 receivers, you can power down the individual channels for power savings if you aren't using both. The receiver battery type selection is next, followed by the transmitter battery type. If you are using a digital transmitter, you'll set the battery type in the transmitter, and then you'll see that displayed here if the link is active. There is also a battery counter alarm function similar to other receivers. The battery icon choice lets us pick between a bar graph, voltage reading, and a timer. And you can also edit the name of the receiver and the transmitter. The date and time function are important for timestamping any recordings on the microSD card. The Locale function relates to how much of the receiver's frequency bandwidth will show in a scan or when using SmartTune. The North American setting does not allow TB37 between 608 and 614 MHz to be used. With the EU setting, these frequencies can be used. This will match the available tuning ranges in the transmitters sold in these different regions. Default lets us return the unit to factory default settings. Then, finally, the About screen shows us the unit's currently loaded firmware versions. One last thing I'd like to show you is just how robust the front end is on this receiver. What I'm doing here would cause most receivers a lot of problems. I've got a digital transmitter at 50 milliwatts set only 500 kilohertz away from one of the channels of this receiver, and yet it's not causing any problems. Good practice says that you want to keep more physical separation and more frequency separation than that, but it gives you a good idea of the RF performance. As you can see, the DCR822 is a flexible and powerful yet easy to use tool for a variety of applications. And the RF and audio performance are second to none. Mainly, the vector diversity and extremely robust RF front end put this receiver in a class of its own, without sacrificing sensitivity and therefore operating range. But don't take my word for it, be sure to check it out for yourself. For more information, look at the product details on Lectrosonics.com. I'm Carl Winkler, thanks for watching.